In our video number 21, let's discuss infrastructure. What is infrastructure? It is the support services that help a country to economic development. These support services will be found in the industries, agriculture, domestic and foreign trade. So all these put together help a country, a state to develop. The infrastructure consists of, or let us say the support services, consist of roads, railways, ports. Ports include airports, seaports, telecommunications, power stations, dams, schools, hospitals, financial institutions, and so on and so forth. There are many that meet the infrastructure. Now, in our daily life, we find that some of the states are very good at agriculture. Some of them have shown their economic development due to industries. Some have shown improvement because of the services sector. And we know the examples of these states that have shown improvement in various sectors. That's because the infrastructure in those states is better. The one that is good in agriculture shows us that they have a better agricultural infrastructure. Similarly, those good in services sector show that they have infrastructure for the services sector. Now, the services or the support services can be classified into economic infrastructure and social infrastructure. Let's look at the examples for economic social infrastructure. Energy, transport, telecommunications, etc. come under economic infrastructure. Why? Because they help in economic development. These increase the efficiency of physical capital and also improve physical capital stock. Whereas social infrastructure consists of education, health, housing, sanitary system, clean drinking water, etc. because they support the economic system indirectly. Why indirectly? Because a society that is educated or literate, that is healthy and has proper sanitary conditions, or which has access to clean drinking water, is a healthy society. And so that would help in the indirectly, it would support the economic system. It enhances the quality of human resources because they are healthy and educated, and the efficiency of human capital because they are now skilled human resources. Then this also promotes social development. Let's now understand the importance of infrastructure. Infrastructure is the basic elements of the economic and social aspects which provide support to the production activity in the economy. That's what we learned. Now, what is the importance of this? Is it increases production. A direct impact on production of goods and services is seen when a state or a country has better infrastructure. Indirectly, by building social sector. Now, the importance as seen in industries, we find the primary sector, and the infrastructure in the primary sector includes irrigation, finance, transport. Secondary sector, the infrastructure supports energy services like coal, petroleum, electricity, wind energy, solar energy, etc. And in the services sector, it is the transport, communication, banking, etc. Now, when you look at the agricultural sector, infrastructure enhances speed and large-scale transport of agricultural inputs like seeds, pesticides, fertilizers, etc. Roads, railways are used for marketing purposes. Insurance and banking expand agriculture. Infrastructure promotes capital formation and investment. Let's see how. Because it promotes capital formation and investment, the output increases. When the output increases, the income increases. And this leads to more savings and more capital. Since there is more capital, there will be more investment. More the domestic investment, there will be more production, and hence, since the production is more, we will have wider markets, which will result in attracting the foreign investors. The wider the market, more will be the number of investors. So this attracts the foreign investors too. Now, the fifth is it affects access to health care. The improvement in water supply and sanitation have a large impact by reducing morbidity or death from major diseases and reducing severity of disease. Inadequate infrastructure can have multiple adverse effects on health. So what is very important over here is access to healthcare would mean the quality of transport, communication to the patients and to the hospital or to the healthcare services centers, right? So infrastructure, a better infrastructure leads to better healthcare. Let's now look at the state of infrastructure in India. Now, India is basically an agrarian country. Though we are showing a little bit of development on the industrial sector as well as the services sector, we are basically agrarian country. With the growing population, government alone cannot take the responsibility for the developing the country's infrastructure. This will be very inadequate to meet the growing demand of the infrastructural development in the country. So what happens is the private sector has come forward by itself and in partnership with the government sector is playing a very important role in the development of the infrastructure in our country. Now, if you look at the rural infrastructure, we find women still using biofuels. What are biofuels? Crop residues, dung, firewood, etc. to meet their energy requirements. This energy requirements could be to heat water or to cook food, etc. And they still walk long distances to fetch water and firewood. According to the census 2001, 56% of the population have access to electricity. And 43% still use kerosene to light lamps in their houses. 24% only have the access or availability of tap water connections, whereas 76% of the rural population still uses open sources of water, such as wells, tanks, ponds, lakes, river, etc. These are the open sources of water. And 20% only have an access to improved sanitary conditions. Now, for low income countries, the basic infrastructure is very important. But with development, we find as the country develops, there is more from the development is seen more in the services sector than in the agricultural sector. So the GDP from the agricultural sector reduces, isn't it? So with development, agriculture shrinks and service related infrastructure is more in demand. Because with development, agriculture would be, the contribution from the agricultural sector would be less. India, when compared to the other countries, invests only 34% of the GDP on infrastructure. And China, 46% of the GDP. And Pakistan, it's just 15% of the GDP that is utilized in the infrastructure development. The share of power and telecommunication infrastructure is still lower when compared to many other countries. Though some economists project that India will become the third biggest economy in the world a few decades from now. But India will have to boost its infrastructure investment. So finally, what we can say is development of infrastructure and economic development go hand in hand, right? If proper attention is not paid to the development of infrastructure, it is likely to act as a severe constraint on economic development.